Hi, my name is Hugo Araujo. I am a certified biomimicry professional, which is a title awarded over a 2-year process of intense collaborative work within the biomimicry professional cohort, or BPROS. The group was founded by 16 individuals representing business, design, biology, and engineering disciplines. The BPROS have made seven field trips to 7 different ecosystems in different parts of the world, with an intention to iterate and cross-pollinate knowledge while learning intensely from the local biologists, scientists, and experts. Because of the cross-disciplinary environment and while being present in an ecosystem, we're able to generate ideas which far overreach the more traditional understanding of biomimicry. Besides the immense knowledge acquired with these field trips, I feel I gain not only new friends, but also a bigger family. We dive deep into this endless information in nature and develop tools, designs, solutions, and, as it happens ever so often, some new problems. Given the experiences of a VPRO, it was also then I came to make a holistic visualization tool to connect all the ideas and lessons. 7 Vortex, a digital ecosystem with one common language. I truly believe that if we can thus see and get a better understanding of our own ecosystem, we will get to figure out better solutions. Learning from nature is a lifelong journey, and transferring the knowledge appears to be a multi-generational task, like the monarch butterflies. These delicate creatures, monarch butterflies, have a migration cycle between Mexico and Canada. However, the butterflies complete the journey over 3 generations. They have no present time to share the route with the next generation. They travel from Mexico to Canada in 3 generations, and then, as already a transformed generation, they return to Mexico in just 1. Of course, this is just one perspective. As my Canadian friends will say, the cyclical journey starts and ends in Canada and not in Mexico. Anecdotes aside, the question of how the monarch butterflies transfer knowledge between generations remains unanswered. So many things yet to understand. I am a believer that animals are sentient beings, and like us, they experience suffering and love. What I'm curious about is whether trees have similar experiences, and if so, then how these may occur. A while ago, I was in the redwood forest on a foggy morning. It made me think about the forest in a new way. The presence of the fog in a forest changes the density of air, making it as visible matter, which has a varied capacity to transmit sounds and light, and also other elements and chemical compounds. The forest may thus transmit signals. It is a medium, just more visible to us when the presence of the fog. I would compare it with the changing conditions in a petri dish. When a scenario alters properties of a subject in the dish, the context changes along with the properties of the subject. Birds, to give another example, react to the changes in the atmosphere. The birds in El Cuyo, for instance, tend to communicate more during the sunshine and the sunset. In low atmospheric pressures, birds tend to stay silent. In nature, there is a non-verbal communication too. Avoiding contact is also a method of communication. A group, including myself, from the earlier mentioned BPROS, traveled to the Harbour Forest as one of the 7 trips. The Harbour Forest appeared to be so very mature with its well-established ecosystem. My attention was drawn to the tops of the tree crowns. The forest is dense, so I wonder how the light reaches the forest floor. To my amazement, the tree crowns are clearly separated by a thin stream of light. No branches of neighboring trees touch nor entangle. As if out of respect towards the neighbor, for the care of the ecosystem below the crowns. The mature trees take only the space required, gently allowing the rivers of light to flow along the crowns. Well, of course, the scarce resource of a temperate deciduous forest is light. Hence, they need to optimize their size and shape in a given space, and thus the access to light supporting their survival. I conclude to myself, the mature trees have a spatial niche to sustain their own bionetwork. What if we could think about mature markets acting like the trees in the Harbour Forest? There is time when all players are established and markets shared, and when it becomes better for everyone to go to the next level, collaboration. It seems only the mature growth of many species reach the ability to consume less of light, nutrition, water, giving more to caring for younger growth and to collaborations with other species. Perhaps our society is still like a young forest, consuming all that is available, acting like the king species in the ecosystem. As when mature, we will give more caring for a fellow species of all sorts. And we will find that collaborations in our ecosystem that will enhance our own kind. When I think about collaboration, I relate to the notion of collective intelligence. We know that such intelligence exists, especially in teams where the sum of the parts is bigger than its individuals. I often ponder on this phenomenon. How many we better understand the cloud of our own species? How might we better understand the cloud of our own species? Where our individual minds connect powering the collective intelligence. I might come across unsteady-minded here, but across centuries and continents, there have been healers in nearly all, if not every indigenous civilization, practicing methods very similar to one another. As the occurrence of the healers was not due to the direct learning, simply due to distances between the communities, the cause is unclear to us to this day. Perhaps we have learned more from Monarch Butterflies how to know without information being passed, or perhaps it is just the world exists. It is how the world exists. I do not offer an answer here, but to me, it appears we might benefit from paying attention to other ways of being intelligent. Living in the coastal dune, generally a healthy ecosystem, I learned to what extent an ecosystem can work together. The beach is a transition zone between the water and land environments. The dune works together with the salty river, La Ria, to desalinate water, and the jungle comes right up to the beach. Birds here live close to the land and the fish, often feeding near the beach. The pelicans go to work every day with a better punctuality than a Mexican. They are attuned with their own bionetwork. Everything is aligned in the picture, except us. We want light when it is dark outside, or even when the full moon lights the sand. Sometimes you see sharp shadows from various things in the brightness of the moonlight, and sometimes the baby turtle go in the wrong direction because they confuse our light bulbs with moonlight. There ought to be so many ways of performing better as a species. I believe we need more conversations on where our human ecological niche is. How should we add value to the planet? How to build critical connections that will shape our future. For instance, a hummingbird has a critical connection with certain flowers. How they so clearly determine for which flower to go? Surely, not merely because they simply prefer that flower over others. Evidently, the shape of the hummingbird has evolved to fit with the flower. How did that happen? Is it continuously evolving? It seems to be so. There are also species of insects which have made a match with certain flowers. The question revolves around how species find their match, their critical connection. Over time, plants have attained their value in the food chain. It surely will be difficult to have any future without plants. Every species of the earth has their niche, on one way or another, and it is inevitably relates to some ecosystem. If the idea of our planet is a hot center with other cooler layers over time, we can visualize the ground surfaces as our playground. Perhaps we can rethink our niche as a species this way. Like other species have done, we might find ways to add value and be sure that our layer is, at the very least, a healthy one. If we can nurture our habitat and make it more resilient, our crops will be enhanced by every natural cycle instead of being in danger. By creating better conditions for biodiversity, we will be building a better atmosphere as well. If minimizing risk is what matters to us, then a balance between humans and nature seems a reasonable way to get away from the edge of extinction, and even better, to enjoy a healthy, abundant, diversified world. As a biomimicry artist, I contemplate the problems we stand to face. With my family and the ones dear to me on my mind, I realize my preferred focus is on the survival of the next generation, thriving on our planet. Several years ago, I joined a small team named Biominga for a 2-year research project in innovation and evolution in nature. So evolution equals innovation in nature. We aim to discover various survival strategies adapted by different species based on symbiotic relationships. Our team, still together, was formed by Nan, biologist, part of the reinsertion of the wolves in Yellowstone, worked with National Geographic and swims with whales. Robert, a great storyteller with senior experience from IDO and also in Singularity University. Gamma, African, born in Zimbabwe, and currently working for the UN in conflict resolution all over the continent. And myself. At the time, we discovered a superbly intelligent strategy of a Hawaiian bobtail squid, bioluminescence. Bioluminescence is one of the 21 strategies that we discovered during the research project. This is what we found. The Hawaiian bobtail squid has a symbiotic relationship with a bacterium called Vibrio fischeri, with a purpose to produce light. The squid has an organ inhabited by Vibrio fischeri, which allows the animal to emit and regulate light on demand, so to hide its own shadow, which would otherwise appear on a moonlight night, making them visible to predators. The light-producing organ responds to a decision-making process called Quorum Sensing. The activities regulated by Quorum Sensing include, for example, luminescence, conjugative plasmid transfer, and the production of antibiotics and extracellular enzymes. The growing number of species identified as using quorum sensing and the chemical and genetic homologies for the quorum sensing system indicates that quorum regulation is an evolutionary conserved mechanism for regulating gene expression that is widespread amongst bacteria. Quorum sensing acts in environments where population density is high, and the process of creating light is a result of a collective process. The story about the word biominga is an interesting one on its own. Bio means life, and the word minga comes from the Inca in South America, meaning collaboration for a common purpose, or simply put, community work. It is the day when you work for the community. Very curious to see how collective actions create words. The indigenous knowledge is full of different perspectives, full of legends and religions. What is science if not a perspective or reality which evolves with our understanding of a context? It seems that we, as humans, invested a lot of energy in communicating. Bacteria, for example, have developed two different kinds of language, interspecies and interspecies communication. As we discovered this molecule, we named it the universal communication molecule. With the principle of this molecule, we might find a way of communicating as if walking in each other's shoes, metaphorically speaking, of course. Yet, we appear to be content with our success in replicating phenomena in a lab. However, without a context, it is just that, a lab experiment, and its fruitfulness in a human context is often lagging behind. There is a more powerful position to be gained by understanding of ourselves as emotional beings belonging to a species which shares the habitat with so many others. We might enter a new stage of our evolution once we learn the true role carried by our species, our niche in nature. The role not as artists or scientists, but as humans. We might achieve going from linear methods of operating as a species to systemic or circular. We might achieve collaborative methods of being over competitive ones. Our species have survived because of our ability to collaborate. We might learn to optimize more than maximize. But I think most importantly, we have arrived at the turn of art being an inspirational teacher and business being a guide for our better future. I belong to a species which makes a positive change. A kind of a species that shares their habitat with 8 million other kinds at least. It is time to learn from each other. My human nature is present every day, with no vacations, and this is how I try to make our ecology better every day. This, I believe, is a progress that we cannot stop. Looking forward. Success.